Hey you guys, I'm interrupting arts and crafts time to make this delicious stew for you, Kim Carson, and this is all for my good friend Jill Ward as well, because we've roasted off some meats, we've got a lot of meat hanging around. This is a great way to save your buck and make something really delicious. So, very simple, stupid. I got a good stock pot. I'm gonna throw some olive oil in there, okay? And I'm going to chop an onion. Now then, keep in mind, if you haven't roasted off your chicken or whatnot yet, just pull the meat from the bones, and then the bones would go in the stock pot, and you can make stock. And what I do at the Fitzgerald house is when I make my stock, I reduce it down by half so it gets like really thick. And then you can put it in the freezer. You'll save freezer space right now, which I know is a commodity, and it's just better. So it's just really thick. It's just good. So all I'm doing is I'm rough chopping an onion. Cut your vegetables the way you like to eat. Like if you want a thick, chunky stew like I'm making, great. If not, you need a little bit more refinement. That's okay too. We need to stop judging everybody right now. So I'm definitely not going to judge you how you like your stews. I'm just giving like this onion a rough chop. It's about medium onion because I have about 3-ish chicken breasts left over. And the second I put the onion in there, I get the heat going with the oil. And you could have gotten it hotter just as well, but I was talking, so. So yes. Word came down today, staying home. This is just so important. And, you know, I can't help but think of all my teammates at the Commons and think about what we were doing right now, think about all the good times, but at the same time, making sure that there's lots of good times to be had. And on that note, I'm taking my celery and I'm cutting about the same amount of celery as I had the onion. So about a racquetball size, you know, just nothing needs to be perfect, especially in this day and age. Putting that to the side, these baby carrots, they're on their way out. What a perfect time to put them in a stew. I've gone back to the real carrots after this fun break because you know, yeah, this is a lot easier, but I have noticed the taste in the real carrots. They're just like so much better. And again, rough chop, no big whoop. I'm throwing those in there. All right. Now then, I don't know about you guys, but I love stuffing. So when you make any of this broth, and people are like, what am I gonna do with the broth? You know, we'll make stuffing. You've got bread ends, you've got those old rolls, make your homemade stuffing, it's delicious, it's great. So I've got about racquetball each, celery, carrots, and onion, the magic good stuff. Again, thank you to all our grocery store workers, all our restaurants, all my dear friends in the industry. It was just, it's times like this. It kind of reminds me of like when someone dies. I don't think you're overwhelmed that, you know, of the situation. I think you're overwhelmed by the kindness, and I say we just keep overwhelming each other with kindness. On that note, I was overwhelmed that I could get my hands on some fresh rosemary on our last trip out yesterday. And yes, we are going to stay home for the next 3 weeks. That's that. We don't want to. I don't want to hurt anybody, and I don't know if I'm carrying it. So therefore, I'm just going to stay home. And I'm going to save this one last chicken breast for Ainsley because she loves it. All I'm doing is again, cut your chicken the way that you'd want to consume it. So back to the stuffing, I've got a square one in the fridge left over because we bake our stuffing like bread pudding. There's an old MLive article that you can look up with the recipe. It's phenomenal. So I'm going to be using this stew for that, you can, by all means, I laid out some potatoes or some quinoa. So if you're looking for that like heartier grain, kind of like, like a beef barley soup. Quinoa is great. You're gonna wanna add it at the end because it takes 2 seconds, folks. I mean, it's practically instant. So I'm just doing this, cutting this up. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for that social interaction while we're distancing. It's been tough. I know it's been tough, but just keep the funny stuff light, at least on my Facebook, please. We all know what's going on. We all know that this is a time when we're going to judge all our leaders. And it's not just, our government, but it's also the employers. Thank God I signed up to work at the Commons. Love the owner. Our teachers, our administrators for our schools, we're all going to find out who's got the mustard and who doesn't. And then we'll be able to adjust after all this. I'm gonna wash my hands, because that's what I do. So now filthy animal. Again, I'm holding back this delicious rosemary. This is what I'm gonna add in a ton of mushrooms, because we love mushrooms in our house. When your mushrooms start looking like this after the episode, I'm just gonna saute these in butter. That's gonna help preserve them for a little bit, and trust me, I'll use them for sure. I mean, back in the days of the Cascade Roadhouse, that's how we kept our sauteed mushrooms and onions going. We just kept them in a 6-pan, and we sauteed them, and maybe that's why those mushroom burgers were like the best. So again, you can see all sorts of, like, this is the refined chicken stock, because it's delicious, it's real. And I'm just gonna pour that in there now. And since it's really kind of full of flavor anyhow, because mine's like a double batch, I'm gonna add just a little bit extra water, and we're gonna let this simmer a little bit. And the second, and I can use my wooden spoon to kind of break up some of that meat. Now I'm gonna hit my rosemary, and keep in mind, I've got like so many flavors in this already because the chicken was seasoned. The rosemary is gonna be a delicious addition. The stock has got a lot of good flavor. I'm not gonna need a lot of salt and pepper on this baby. But what I'm gonna want, because I like it, is we're gonna wanna thicken this up. Now, if you're doing quinoa, don't thicken it up. That's just silly. So, I always thicken with hot water, right? I'm gonna pour a little bit more in there. You want your water or your liquid, and this is a great time. If any of you have leftover wine, which I know is a stretch, this is a great time to throw in that cup of white wine, or even red. I don't even care at this point. But it's just, we want to make sure that the liquid is over the stuff, because the vegetables are going to stew down. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be great. And all we're doing is just having some flavor to our food, and to really make sure at this point we're not wasting anything. On that note, cornstarch, I love you, but it always makes such a mess. And I didn't have the opportunity to get the cool plastic cans. We're all sacrificing here. So just be really, really careful with your cornstarch. That's gonna go into a deli cup later on. I only use deli cups and mason jars and Ziplocs at the worst, because one, it's a less carbon print. I can always wash the deli cups, and the mason jars are just great for everything. I'll post my Organize It again, silent recipe. Hope you guys like the meatloaf recipe. Again, Kim Carson, I do adore you, but we had chicken enough for 3 days in a row, so we're good now with this stew, I think. So I've got that stirred. Literally, you guys, this is a waiting game. And we're going to make sure that it starts to stew down. Doesn't hurt to put the lid on it, which there's been many people in my life that have told me to put a lid on it, which is totally fine. And of course, we clean as we go. So that's good product. That's good product. I gotta tell you what though, I just can't be more thankful to have all of you in our lives. I know we're distancing and whatnot right now, but I just think it's really cool that we can at least connect over food. And you know, one of my dearest friends, Jenna Arcidiacono, I'm worried about you. You're working too hard, but at the same token, I get it. You know, food, when you're in the hospitality industry, is our way of connecting to you. So we do that kind of because like we're all old Italian grandmothers in one way or not. You know, and I can say this because my mother was an Italian grandmother. So, you know, just, I know things are going to get really real now that we're supposed to stay home, but just keep your head up. And my thing is I try not to point the fingers. I try to give the finger to myself and say, hey, what can we do at this point to make everybody's life a little bit better? And it can be just as free as sending out a cool message. It can be just as easy as to, you know, stop into your local restaurants that are still open to pick up takeout. And it could be just as simple as staying home and telling your loved ones that we're gonna get through this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And, you know, the rules kind of go out the window. You know, we got a 3-year-old. She's rolling the house right now. So, look at that. Already I'm getting to a soft boil. It's just that easy. When you do cornstarch and water, when you do it like me, you always want to stir it because it settles pretty quick. I'm doing cornstarch because I just like the glossy look. You could do a roux, you could do arrowroot. In all seriousness, you could just let the potatoes thicken it up if you decided to do potatoes. I just like that gloss. I like that thickness. I like all that fun stuff. And so, right now, I'm gonna give it 2 seconds. I'm gonna show you what I'm pulling out of the freezer. So this is what I do when I make my stuffing. We bake it, because that's the way my Grandma Antony did it, and why would I mess with it? And look at that, you guys. Isn't that cool? So this is literally just old bread, cubed up, mixed with tons of mushrooms. We love the mushrooms in our family. Tons of Italian seasoning, tons of stock, eggs to bind it so it's like a savory bread pudding. And we do something just as easy as this. Now, and you can do this with your mashed potatoes. So really what you could do is this mixture, obviously you can have like a killer stew, and that's great. But you can also make this into a pot pie. Like if you have a nice little, you know, I got a million of these little ramekins. You can do a small version, or you could do a Tommy version of these, a little bit of whipped potatoes on top. Call it a day. You got the best pot pie in the world. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour that thickening agent in, because I've got it to a soft boil, right? Look at that. It's just so stupid simple, you guys. Put that in the dish room. Put this in the trash. As you can tell, I'm kind of OCD with my kitchen. And when I've got Ainsley running around, you know, you just try to keep it real. And so now I'm just stirring. And once it bubbles again, it's gonna be thick as all get out. Look, I'm even putting this away. So seriously now, in the time that I've spoken, I've got my area clean. I've got everything back to where it was. If you're doing the quinoa don't thicken it. The quinoa is going to thicken it. If you do potatoes, I'd still thicken it a little bit, but not as much. And look at this. Look at this, you guys. This is just stupid simple. So, my dear old friend Jill, you've got all those bones of the turkey. Break them apart as whatever you can do. Carrots, celery, onions, right? And a ton of your old spices, right? You're gonna pray to the spice god and hope that everything comes back. This is just silly. Look at this, you guys. There you go. How fun is that? And now you got stew. Now you've got pot pie. Whip up some potatoes. You got a different type of pot pie. You could actually kind of straighten out the goodness and make pasties out of this if you even chopped it up more. And then you can decide what's better, you know? Ketchup or gravy on your pasty. That's it. That is the end of the chicken series for now. And can't wait to talk to you guys. And be safe, be warm, wash your hands. I mean it. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Stay indoors.